Welcome to the Whitetail Advantage Podcast with your host, Brett Bovin. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy the show.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Whitetail Advantage Podcast. I am your host, John. If you would like me as your host instead of Brett, go ahead and leave a comment, post it on Instagram, post it on YouTube, Facebook, anywhere that you can find Whitetail Advantage. Let Brett know that you guys want me here. All right, tonight's guest, awesome dude, Jeremy. He is going to be running, or he runs dog, like a dog recovery team, which is great. I know Brett usually does this whole spiel about like quarters and slot machines or whatever, but you guys have been listening long enough. You know the deal. Like, follow, subscribe, put a quarter in the slot machine if you like us. Enough of this intro shit. Let's go ahead and grab everyone in. Bring them in. Look at that. Quick, fast, and simple.
There you are.
Intro shit because you don't know what the fuck to say.
Damn it, I forgot my quarter too because you didn't bring it up.
I brought up a quarter.
I only got a dime. Sorry.
Go ahead and save it in these hard times.
Hey, we got Trump in office now, though, so hopefully we got better economy coming through.
That's true. Hope so.
You see that
no
gas?
kidding.
I can't talk worth shit. Do you see
nor
gas
did you
was
ever.
like? I know we're all happy about that, right? Do you see that gas was like $2.76 or something the other day?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's 309 now.
Yeah,
It's
fuck that.
305 by me.
Man. Well, anyways, people didn't come on the show tonight to listen to our Michigan gas prices and us people bitch about it. So let's introduce our host. You guys look down at the bottom of the screen, and for our listening viewers, he is down on the lower right. Jeremy, how are you doing, sir?
Good. How are you guys?
We're here. We're here.
Doing good, man.
So,
Doing good.
Tell us about yourself real quick, Jeremy.
So born and raised in a little town called Sorges, New York. Hunting mostly my whole life. My dad's a big deer hunter. So always a part of that. I had an uncle as well who was big into running bear hounds and just dogs in general. And I had I'm still a young guy, but my younger years I had retrievers. And my last retriever passed away, and the duck hunting wasn't really all that great around my area. And I was doing some travel and hunting in Europe, and I came across this little red dog in Portugal, all covered in wound dressing, all torn up. I'm like, man, this is some badass little dog. And it was a Bavarian mountain hound. We hunted with them all week, and I'm like, man, I got to get one of these. And my retriever had just passed away like the year before, and it was kind of like a smooth transition to get into deer tracking for me in a way. There was a lot of ups and downs so far with it. I still have a lot to learn, but kind of my background: big deer hunter, big game hunter. I can say that I've hunted in Africa, Europe multiple times, across the country. So I'm into it. It's in my blood here. So
Very nice. Yeah, I was checking you out on Instagram, man. Hunt in Europe, the Africa dude. So the kudu that you shot, that's like my dream hunt. I saw that.
yeah.
That is beautiful.
Yeah. So once you finally get to Africa, like those kudu remind me of like an elk hunt. And that I don't know if you saw the bush buck.
I did, yeah.
That was like a huge one, like kind of a once in a lifetime one. And those guys there, that's described as like the whitetail hunt of Africa. They're like the local species, and it's a lot of like still hunting, some stalking. They're really cool to hunt as well. So if you ever go, kudu and bush buck should be on your top list for game there for playing.
Yeah, I think if I ever went to Africa, I would have to have like 5 different credit cards just to like, oh, I want this, oh, I want that.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
It's an amazing place. I mean, you see so many. I don't know what your guys' deer population is, but where I am in New York, we don't have that many deer per square mile. So seeing the amount of animals like in a 10-day period like that in Africa, it's just insane.
Oh, I'm sure. All right. So before we get the show really started, I like to open up with a little ice-breaking game here called Hunt, Hunt, Befriend, and Kill. Not Be Kill.
We forgot.
All right. Yeah, I forgot my own thing. All right. So
Fucking idiot.
I'm gonna go ahead and mute that guy. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'll start with Dave up there. I'll do a list of 3 animals. You have to hunt one, fight one, and befriend one.
Okay.
All right. So Dave, you have got a Canadian moose, a mountain lion, and 25 Canadian geese. Go.
Well, I'm gonna fight the Canadian geese.
Oh, you lose.
I'm going to befriend the mountain lion, and then I'm hunting the moose because I really would like to hunt a moose someday.
Oh, I'd love to. All right, not bad. And I mean, if anyone listening ever wants to like add a comment to say, "Hey, this is what I would do," go ahead and do that. I'll have our producer over there, Brett. He can read them off for us.
Yeah, come up with some new ones for Brett.
Yeah. All right, Squatch, you ready, brother?
What's up?
You've got a tiger, an elk, and an antelope.
All right, I'm gonna befriend the tiger.
As any smart man would.
I'm gonna let's see. What was the other 2?
Elk and antelope.
Elk and antelope. I'll friend the elk and leave the antelope for last.
All right.
Yeah, man.
Now, Brett. Well, no. We're going to do Jeremy first. All right.
Yeah.
Oh
So
boy.
Jeremy is huge with dog recovery, as you told us earlier, and your passion for dogs. So this is going to be a little harder. All right. So you have Cujo, Beethoven, and the giant dog from the Sandlot movie.
Aren't they all the same dog?
Yeah, but different.
That's true.
So they're all the same dog.
Which one has the whiskey in its barrel and the
It's the same.
Oh,
right? Isn't that the Saint Bernard?
Yeah.
The dog from Beethoven had it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll friend him
Yeah.
because he's
Right.
worth the most.
Smart move.
And then I'm not the greatest in the movies, but I'll do the Sandlot and then the other one there.
With Cujo.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Brett, are you ready?
As right as I'll ever be.
Yeah. You get a lot lizard?
Yeah. He doesn't know what that is. All right,
I
Brett,
know what that is.
you have to fight one, you have to hunt one, and you have to befriend one. You ready?
Oh, no shit.
Mickey Mouse, Goofy, and a starfish.
Oh, you did get the starfish. I like
I
it.
did get the starfish, of
You
course.
Yeah.
stole that.
Not the one in the ocean.
Now, that's a chocolate starfish.
Yeah.
Come on, Bovin, pull it together. Let's go.
Yeah. Those are some dangerous animals you got to choose from.
Yeah, I'm going to befriend the starfish.
The chocolate starfish.
I'm going to hunt Mickey Mouse. And kill
As your
Goofy.
kids are watching this crying right now.
Actually, no. I'm gonna kill Mickey Mouse because it's my daughter's favorite thing.
Oh,
Jesus.
man.
Well, that's nice.
A little,
I know. I
I
want
have
to
2
start.
daughters. I could never do that to them.
Well, don't give me Mickey Mouse type of question.
He's gonna turn it on you.
Right. All right. Well, that was our segment, Jeremy. You're still here, so you've made it a lot longer than other people.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, usually
Normally, they're just like, man, nope.
they hit the eject button by now.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So, you said you grew up in a hunting family. Deer hunting's huge there. I actually lived in upstate New York, over about just north of Syracuse for about 10 years,
Yep.
and amazing hunting up there. I mean, we would go down to the Finger Lakes and just hammer waterfowl all the time. Now, like, for someone who lived in Michigan and then upstate New York, when I first was told I was going to New York, I was like, man, I'm going to be going down to the city and everything like that, not realizing I was, like 6 hours from the city.
Yeah.
And then meeting Squat and like him living so close to the city, I was like, man, I never assumed hunting was that big down there.
Mm.
So, like, what all type of hunting did you get into? Or like, how did you start getting into it, I guess? Like, do you have a lot of public land down there, or?
Yeah, we do have a lot of state land. I live like 40-ish minutes north of where Squatch lives, Adam lives.
Mhm.
So I live like what they call the Catskill Mountains.
Oh yeah.
So we have a huge amount of public land available to hunt just in the mountains. And then I'm lucky enough that I do have quite a bit of private land that I have permission for also. And some of like my hunting club, or my gun clubs and hunting clubs that I've hunted, over my years. And then recently too is a lot of what we call DEP ground. So the city has been buying up a lot of the water for the reservoir, so valuable land, and it's actually opened up to public hunting. So the DEP is pretty sweet to hunt on. Because it's
nice.
like, it's not just like barren mountain land. It's a lot of it was bought from private people, so it's a little bit more diversity in hunting there.
Okay. Now, is that so? Because I've never been able to use a dog for recovery, and I think it's awesome. Like I had one deer that I could have used it on, but it was just a bad shot on my part, and I wouldn't have wasted that dog's time.
Yeah.
But like, how did you get into it? How did you decide that you're going to start using dogs for recovery?
So I was kind of told you guys the story a little bit. I was into duck hunting, and I had Chesapeake Bay retrievers, and I had actually, me and my friends took a hunting trip to Portugal, and there was this, I tell the story, this little red dog with a black face, all covered in that blue wound dressing, all tore up. I'm like, man, this is some cool, badass dog. And basically got thrown around by a red stag right before I got there.
Man.
And we hunted with that dog the rest of the week. And I just thought it was so cool. And the traditions in Europe are so cool to me, just how much more a lot of places that you hunt, you need a dog with you to even go out in the woods. So like all that tradition stuff was really cool to me. And when shortly after I got back from that trip, I actually had a connection I didn't even know that I had. And that's when I got my first Bavarian. And, it made sense to me. I had lost a deer too, not too much before that trip, that I never found, and a neighbor actually found it. I didn't call a service then, which there's one of the founding services called Deer Search was founded right by my hometown, and I'm actually now the president of that club.
Oh, very nice.
So it kind of came full circle, but at the time I didn't use the service, and I probably should have. But they actually did help me with a bear later on too, from that deer that I lost. So I kind of saw what happened, and how dogs are used. And I always had a dog in the house, and I figured I'll use, that's something I can justify training a dog and getting into it. And 6 years later, here I am. And I'm not one of the craziest, busiest guys around, but I do about 40 a year, tracks calls a year. So I definitely, I'm in the woods a lot come deer season. So.
Oh, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I mean, you're working mine is Brett. We all spend a lot of time in the woods during deer season. So
Yeah.
I mean, those who can't do host podcasts, right?
Yeah.
Oh my Jesus.
So now, like me personally, I take pride in my deer, in my hunts, my shot placement, everything like that. So now, like Adam, yeah, you used Jeremy on one of your deer. So why don't you tell us that story?
Yeah, so you guys know we were all talking on the chat, except for Brett. He was still sleeping that morning. But I was telling you about that big 8 I had coming in, and I called that one Clyde because he was a little bit bigger on his left side than his right. And a buck had came in, perfect textbook, walked broadside in front of me. At the time when I took the shot, I thought it was Clyde. After I had reviewed the footage when I got back from my camera, I realized it was a whole different buck that had wandered in there. I never saw this buck before. He was actually perfect, and he was a little bit bigger than Clyde. So he was a roaming buck. He wasn't a homeboy. I didn't have him there that I knew of. And unfortunately, shit happens. I got a little bit high and a little bit forward, like in the top part of the shoulder. The deer was only 10 yards away, full broadside. So the angle was pretty steep. It was hard. So I swear I could hear the lung collapse when I shot. Maybe I got the forward part of the lung on the exit side. And I heard the deer run away. Got back home. I didn't track the deer. I didn't see the arrow. I didn't see blood. Got a hold of my next door neighbor, great guy, Chris, and he came back. We looked at the footage. So he said, it looks good to me. I said, yeah, I think it's a little forward, but I think I got the ventricle and probably the leading part of the lungs. And we got out there. We looked around for a little bit. We did find a couple spots of blood, and then we found the arrow. The broadhead had opened up and did what it was supposed to do. And there was still no blood. And we were like, okay, which, a close shot, hard angle down. If it didn't go out through the shoulder on the other side, the deer's filling up with blood. We looked around, we made some passes, found a couple more small drops of blood. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to call deer search. That's the responsible thing to do as a hunter. A dog's nose. I know I own 4 beagles, on rabbits. They're amazing. Their sense of smell is just like bar none. So I said, let me get a hold of Deer Search Corporation and see if they can get somebody out here. The fella that I reached out to is down in Westchester County, which is about 65 miles from here. He referred me to Jeremy, and I got a hold of Jeremy. I think you're an electrician, right, Jeremy?
Yeah.
So Jeremy was doing his electrical work, and he said, look, I'm just about done. Could be down there in about 45 minutes, an hour for you. I said, yeah, that sounds good. I'll meet you. Long story short, great dog he has. He came down. The dog was able to pick up some blood. The general direction that I felt the buck had went, that's where the dog went. There's some water on the property, and the deer went to bed by water. By the time, now you got to take the day how it played out. I shot that buck at about 7:30ish, 8 o'clock in the morning. It was by that time already starting to be about 2:30ish, 3 o'clock. His dog was pulling down through the thickets, and I'm telling you, when I tell you it's thick out here where I hunt, it's thick. And he got tangled up in some briars. He had let go of the leash for a second, and the dog took off, and the buck took off. And my neighbor and I looked at each other, and we went, that was the buck. And he's like, yeah, my dog's on him right now, but I don't have him. We're like, oh, shit. And, as a dog owner myself, I worry about the dog. I don't care about the deer. Now it's a mission to get Jeremy's dog back in our possession. So thank God Jeremy is a good dog owner, and he has GPS for his dog. And we tracked the dog about a half a mile up to another road where I know some people up there, and we ran around and recovered the dog. Make a long story short, and Jeremy said, what do you want to do, man? That dog, the deer is still bleeding. I said, yeah, I can see. And he had came a long way. He came down, and the deer was alive for a consecutive amount of hours. So he knows his dog. We got down, the dog started going crazy, and we got out to an adjoining orchard, and what I feel, and I think Jeremy can tell you too, is that buck jumped up and was running pretty good, like he wasn't hurt. So he looked at me and he said, "I'm sorry, but we can try a little more if you want, but that deer's running like crazy." And I said, "Look, and I know it's been over the amount of time. If it was a lethal hit, that deer would have succumbed to it. And I appreciate you coming out, but it's a sucky thing, but it's also it kind of reassures you when you have a guy like Jeremy that'll come out and take the time, bring his dog out. It kind of like it cushions the blow. In other words, of you did everything possible to recover. And Jeremy, maybe you want to speak on your behalf as like what you experienced with that, and maybe some of the stuff that you go through on these tracking ventures when you do find the prize at the end of the rainbow, unlike my deal.
Yeah, well, it's when I first started this, I never really expected that I was going to also have to be a therapist. There's on the deer that you don't find, it's tough to tell a guy that thinks that you're going to come and be the Grim Reaper, and the nail in the coffin. It's something that took some time to realize, like, not every deer is going to be dead.
Yep.
It's very common that even some of the best trackers in the country are still 30 on lead. We are about 30 to 40% success rate. So it's very common for me to come out and not find a deer. More common, believe it or not. So a lot of what I see, I have to explain. Adam was a little bit of a different scenario. He's a little bit more dog oriented. So he understood a little bit about what the dog was doing. The dog was dead nuts on the deer that day, but sometimes you'll go out there and the dog will just really not show much interest. And you're like, you kind of are like, my dog is a good tracking dog. It's just, I have a feeling that they can sense that you got a live deer ahead that may not be able to be caught. It's not hit the way you think you hit the deer. So that's something I run into all the time. The finding the deer, though, that's like the holy grail. It's the best feeling in the world when you're going and you may not be seeing some blood for a while, and then all of a sudden you find a little speck, and you just have that excitement and that rejuvenation, and like, oh, thank God we've been going the right way, and hopefully at that point the deer's not very far. Over these years, I've definitely seen a lot. I haven't seen it all. Super high success rate when guys don't mess around with the deer trail like Adam did. If Adam did walk around a little bit, but some guys will bring the whole neighborhood and trample and walk around for hours on end and then decide to call a dog, at the 24th hour. It's like you're a little late. I really like to talk to somebody within 24 hours, just as a little tip for people that are out there that may need a dog someday. Don't call me 2-3 days later. You're really, and it happens. People just don't realize.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But super high success on gut hit shots, very low success rate on low penetration. One of my big excitements when I hear on the phone is if the deer's been bedding down a lot. That's one of the big things. A lot of guys will see wound beds or not pick up on a wound bed and still be tracking. The big game is time. I think a lot of deer that I do find may not have needed a dog, but when you bumped it out of its bed 5 times in a row, every time you bump a deer, it could go a different direction. and that's where a lot of guys lose deer. Can't pick up the trail until they get a dog.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
Brett, you had something?
I got 2 questions, but I know Michael's got a couple questions. First, my question is, what type of dogs do you run, Jeremy? And is there a specific breed that you look for when you try to train dogs looking for deer? Because I personally believe German Shepherd would be the best one, or at least at the top of the list, because German Shepherds are used in canines in law enforcement. So I figured that they might be something to be looked at, or I've seen other people use different dogs.
It's kind of funny. There's a guy that's actually that I'm friends with. He's about an hour north of me, and he looks just like you, Brett. It's kind of weird. His name's Steve. He runs a German Shepherd, and I'm actually just met a guy today that wants to get into tracking. That's getting a German Shepherd. So there's some guys with German Shepherds around. The breed that I have is a Bavarian Mountain Scent Hound. They're actually really the only breed born and bred to be 100% big game tracking dogs. They started out as the Europeans needed some sort of smaller, more agile bloodhound, basically. And, years and years and years ago, they genetically kind of developed this Bavarian. So to me, I have a special place in my heart for Bavarians. So that's what I use. A very common dog too is the Teckle, the Wired Hound Dotson.
Mm-hmm.
And that the breeder John Giannini, who's kind of like the godfather of tracking in America, grew up and started Deer Search. So, and he's right in me and Adam's back door.
Yeah.
He unfortunately recently passed away, but a lot of guys that track, like the guy that Adam talked to the first time, his name's Mark.
Yeah.
We call them Teckles too. So there's a lot of guys with the Teckles and the Wirehound Dotson. But the biggest thing that you got to look for with whatever dog you're going to use is, we all, as humans too, we all have our ups and downs. Adam might not be the best at math, but he still got through life.
I'm definitely not the best at math.
I'm just using an example, right? So, and every dog has a little bit of a different style of work. The Bavarians, bloodhounds, the big British bloodhounds, big cold-nosed dogs, keep their head right in the dirt the whole time. To me, very easy to read when you're using them. I haven't really been behind too many German Shepherds. I'm not from the law enforcement world or anything. So, I don't know if I believe they keep their nose down pretty good, but like the labs are sometimes a little bit more of like a zigzag, head up, flushing kind of style of work. The German short hairs are kind of the same way. The big thing for me is, like on Adam's call, we came out of this big, thick briar patch and into this big open field. And, my dog was still very young at the time, but, head down that whole way through that field. And we found maybe a pencil, or a pen cap sized blood drop on this little rock on the other side of this field. And that whole time he just had his head in the dirt and was yanking that lead, and we just let him do his thing. So that's where the bond between tracker and dog comes in. Like, I think any dog could maybe do it if it has the prey drive. It's just if you're gonna work the dog and really spend the time with it, I don't know if a boxer is gonna track the way that my Bavarian could in the long haul. But if you shoot a deer in your backyard and bring it out 2 hours later, it may smoke it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it will smoke it 36 hours later, which I've done, and almost 40 hours later, which I've done, which is very rare. But And I think too, that's a little bit of that, even that time period was a little bit of luck, but,
Well, nowadays you got drones doing a lot of drone recovery.
yeah,
And I say that now because Justin commented here, he's got a question for you. What are your thoughts on using drones for recovery? I mean, it kind of dips into your kind of business,
yeah.
but what are your thoughts on just drone recovery in general, along with dog tracking as well?
It's definitely a hot topic, especially where me and Adam are from.
Mhm.
Currently, it's technically illegal. There is legislation right now to make it legal. I'm one of those guys that I'm a younger guy in general. I think it is it is going to be part of the future, and you might as well accept those guys that want to have the drones and use the drones as long as it's legal in the state. I'm okay with it. I think, like anything, it has its place. Uh, it's more. I could see it's the more traditional way to go with the dog. There's been times where you're in a small community and I wish honestly that I had a drone sometimes because, a property line or, can't get permission, the drone can still fly over there and see if the deer is over in the next neighbor's property.
I
I
mean,
legally
back in
can't
the
in my
day,
state.
I say back in the day, we just used to wait till the sun went down, but
Yeah,
drones make it so much easier.
yeah. I mean, I think they're amazing. I think there is a guy that's across the river from me that has one, and he has dogs also.
Mhm.
He can't really use the drone, but he actually came and helped a guy that I knew lost some livestock, and he came and helped look for some sheep. So I got to go and meet him and see the drone in action, and it was cool. They're amazing. So
Oh yeah,
me personally, and as like the president of the deer search now, like if once it becomes legal, you know, I have zero problem with those guys doing their thing.
just another tool in the toolbox for sure.
Well,
Yeah,
I think too, Jeremy, if you got the drones going with the with the thermal imaging as far as flying over and looking, that may be able to have you guys work together. And
yeah,
between running the dog and the thermal, I mean, it may just be a total win-win for you guys, and recovery. I mean, take for instance what happened with me once it got over into that other landowner's orchard. We called, we got permission. I know them guys. But if we had, airborne above us and looking down, we would have known for sure that sucker was still running around,
yeah,
we wouldn't have had a doubt in our mind. It would have been like, okay, let's back out, let's get the hell out of there. And maybe I could get a general direction for the next day. Maybe he would cool down, bleed out, and be able to recover the animal. But
yeah,
it's, my feelings on the whole thing is if you can make every effort, you always make the best possible shot. You always try to do your best. Things happen. It's that's why they call it hunting, not killing. But even after that takes place, you do your best to find that animal and don't give up. And I mean, I went out, I still was out, I rode around, I listened for crows. I asked people around the neighborhood, have you seen this deer? He looks like this, blah, 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 blah. Somebody actually thought they saw it, but it wasn't that same deer when they sent me a picture. And
yeah,
but having that drone capability and having the dogs work together, I mean, who wouldn't be for that? Of course, people are going to abuse stuff, and use it for wrong, but make the penalty strict. I mean, if there's legislation that says, look, if you get caught using this for any other purpose but to track an animal, and maybe I know from flying model airplanes, flying drones, you have to have your license, your drone's license. And there's actually an app that you have to go on to make sure that the airspace is clear where you're flying and your number's on that. So if they were able to track that and see, yes, you called in the times that you're looking for this animal, and you're on a legit, blood tracking case, that's fine. But the minute it gets abused, where people are just scouting out stuff, trying to find deer and herd them up and get to them, hey, you know what? Instant revocation of your hunting privileges, fines, and take away your weapons, and that's, if they did that, I think there would be a very minimal amount of people abusing that to find game.
Yeah, no, I agree. And we're, a lot of people, I'm talking from a New York state of mind, and we're lucky, Adam, in New York. I was actually just in Georgia, where I get to meet a lot of other trackers I'm in a Bavarian club.
Yeah.
And some guys from up in Michigan and Minnesota and all that. And we have a license, a deer leased dog handler license is called in New York State. So I'm able to dispatch 24/7, no matter what the season is, with a firearm. So I think the drone needs to be a similar license. The DEC needs to set some parameters for it. I believe they need to call in just like I call in. If they're going to charge a fee, I think they need to have their guide's license just like myself. And if you mess around, you're going to find out and get your stuff yanked. I believe, that's just like in anything in life, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with it.
Well, it's all up to see what happens. We'll hopefully it'll go for the good.
Yeah, I do. I'm open arms to it. So.
Well, that's good.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. We need to, we don't typically run ad breaks. We don't have sponsors or anything like that. But Brett did come up with this awesome pre-recorded. Yeah, Dave shaking his head. No, it's not really awesome. But it's, hey, we're going to fake it till we make it. So, Brett, fucking play it. Hey, go ahead and season your meat with something great. Try Flavors of the Forest raw garlic dust, made with only the finest ingredients for the finest wild game. Go ahead and use promo code Whitetail to save 15% on your next purchase. Go check them out.
Hey, guys, how are you? It's the Squatch from the Whitetail Advantage. Hey, listen, have you guys tried rec broadheads yet? Well, if you haven't, you're really missing out. I've been shooting rec now for over a year, and I'll tell you what, they fly straight, they fly true, and they're deadly, deadly on a deer. You can get the HXPs, you can get the FX4s, or you can just get the regular HPs. Guys, take it from the Squatch. The guys here at Whitetail Advantage, you can't go wrong with the rec broadheads. If you tune in, you watch our show, you can use the discount code for rec, WA15. And that'll give you 15% off your purchase. And you guys tell them that the Whitetail Advantage and the Squatch sent you. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned. The show's going to be great. Squatch out.
Hey, you guys have a passion for the outdoors? You faith-based and love bow hunting? Go check out Bow Addicts. It's BOWADX. Genesis 27:3 says, take your bow and a quiver full of arrows. Go out into the open country to hunt some wild game for me. While we all love to go out and hunt wild game, we'd love to also wear it and represent what we believe. So go check out Bow Addicts and use promo code WHTADV10 to save 10% off your next purchase. That's WHTADV10 at checkout. Tell them the Whitetail Advantage crew sent you. That was our ad break. Thank you so much. And if you're still here, we've got more for you.
Menu.
All right. So, Jeremy, have you ever had like someone calls you for your services, just like be completely irate that your dog can't be a miracle worker? I mean, like we were talking earlier, how a lot of that is based on the hunter, shot placement, and that just leads into like how you went into the season. But have you ever had anyone just like completely get worked up and ridiculous over it?
Luckily, nobody to my face out in the field ever really had a complete breakdown. I think through the tracking community, you'll get a call from another tracker and be like, hey, because we're all tight, and, hey, were you out in, I'm just going to use randomly because it's where, are you out in Highland last night? And be like, yeah, I was out that way. Or, I tracked a deer there. And they'll be like, yeah, the guy called me to come track again, that deer. What was the scoop? And, that kind of burns your ass as a little bit of a tracker. Like, I wish, it is what it is. Some guys definitely get fired up. I hate that I left the track call with that in someone's mind. I want to find the deer just as badly as they do.
Yeah.
But nobody's really gotten too crazy face to face with me, to be honest.
Okay. Now, that kind of leads into our next segment here from the Squatch. So, like, drone recovery in New York is illegal and everything like that. And Squatch loves to do a segment with the Dame Warden, or as we like to call them, the Day Mormons. Squatch,
Yep.
Go ahead and take over, brother.
All right. So, Jeremy, my little skit here is called What You Wouldn't Say to a Game Warden If He Walked Up on You. So what we require you to do is just play the devil's advocate of what not to say to the game warden, and I'm the game warden. So I'm going to throw a couple little scenarios at you, and we want to see what you come up with on the fly. Or stop it. I'm not. Stop. All right, Mr. Jeremy, we noticed you had your dog flying on a drone trying to recover Dave's deer that he shot in the ass. And we want to know what you got to say for yourself.
No hablo inglés.
Oh! You say that, you did all sorts of bonus points from that.
There you go.
You probably get some money from the government.
Yeah.
Free hunting licenses.
Yeah.
All right,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Let me throw another one at you here. All right, Mr. Jeremy. I was walking around the woods, and you say that you're on a blood trail from a wounded deer, but there's no blood, and your dog has a camera on it. And you just shot one of the most biggest bucks we've ever seen come out of New York State. What's this all about?
I don't know. Just going out for a walk. I thought the dog park was this way.
I thought the dog park was this way.
Nice. All right, here's one more for you.
Never give them an inch.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Exactly.
No. All right, here's another one for you. All right, Jeremy. We had reports of you with Brett Bovin dressed up as a dog. And, what's with that? Do you think a human can track a deer as good as a dog?
No, I'm just in a weird sex cult, that's what I'm into.
Man. Jeremy is our new co-host.
There he is.
Brett told me to show up to this party, and we're all dressed like dogs.
Yeah. I was looking for Brett.
Looking for this guy named Brett, but we found was
Whitetail Advantage. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, his whitetail is different than the other kind of whitetail, so But so that's my dumb little segment there of what not to say to a game warden. So thanks for playing along.
Yeah. So this year I had a guy that I actually tracked for twice this year, and we sometimes, like Adam, we met at his house, and then we went to the place where he shot the deer. Yeah. This guy we met in the little town that we were going to go track in, and we go to this. It's a piece of public land, and we go to pull into the parking lot of it. It was like 10 minutes from the little town. Sure as shit, he wasn't a game warden. It was a forest ranger sitting there in the parking lot. And not that we do anything, illegal or anything, but, it's definitely, in my opinion, it's better not to have them involved if you can. So,
right.
Of course, this guy is immediately, do you mind if I come? And the hunter is like, sure.
Mhm.
So
You're like, oh no.
yeah. So we had this year. I had my first tag along with the law, so it was all good. The deer actually ended up living. The hunter saw it the next week, and we actually found it with 2 holes in it
Oh,
from
wow.
2 weeks apart, which was kind of crazy
Mm.
to think. But
That is crazy.
it looks like someone asked me a question here.
Yeah,
Mike.
so Michael asked the question, Jeremy, have you done any tracking around the Berlin, New York area?
I have to see. I'll have to look where New Berlin is. I don't know if that's western.
It's
part of
about
the
20
state.
minutes west of
Oneana.
Yep, you say that one.
Okay.
Yep.
No, I usually like to stay within an hour, and I live in a town called Sorgety, so not too much out that way. Really, I've ever done. I've gone this year. I was out a little bit in what was it, Delhi, which is a little south of where he's talking.
Mhm.
But
And
it's just when you're in the truck that long and you got a lot of guys calling you, there's other good trackers around that usually, if it's an hour plus, I try to usually push it to somebody else.
we got another question here from Justin. Jeremy, how many deer have you found?
So with my older dog, who Adam didn't meet that day, he has about 40 recoveries in the 4 years that he's been consistently tracking. We found 15 this year, and I had fostered a dog the year before, so 2 seasons ago now, and he found a few. So I'm at about a little bit over 50 overall deer found
Very
in
nice.
5 years.
Very nice.
So
And you said you have about a 40% success rate?
roughly, yep.
Man.
Yep, 40.
Okay.
So
Right on. Brett, you have anything here? I see you like chomping at the bit, or is that just like your vocal cords not working?
No, I'm just laughing at Michael's question here.
Oh,
He
he's
says,
gonna.
Brett, are you a tracking dog?
For all your listeners out there, Brett does not identify as a tracking dog. He identifies as a lazy dog.
No, he said, sorry, I meant a tracking human. I like to say my tracking skills are pretty good.
Yeah, he's good at tracking the Serta Perfect Sleeper.
Yeah.
Memory foam, my pillows, and and golf courses. He's very good at finding a ball on a golf course. I mean,
Brett can sniff out pancakes in his house.
shit.
You
Yeah,
just can't cook them.
and let me tell you something. If you're smuggling,
Okay, I like eggs. First off, if I had to choose between a breakfast, my number one choice is going to be eggs.
Yeah, but they're too expensive now, so forget.
Oh fuck
Yeah, but I love eggs. I cook eggs every fucking day.
You cook eggs every day? You?
Yeah.
Oh no, you don't.
So
I do.
I got a question
Really?
for Jeremy, so we can.
Yep.
Oh, so do I too.
You're making me hungry.
All right.
So what do you
go
find? What do you find the biggest mistake a hunter does that causes more harm than anything when you try? Like more or less, what would you recommend a hunter to do as far as like when me, if I'll walk like maybe 75 yards. If I don't see that in good blood, I leave.
Yep.
So if somebody's thinking about wanting to use a dog and calling you, say your services, obviously contamination's big, don't have 100 people out there. What would you recommend somebody to do that wants to call you to come out?
So I think the biggest thing for you to hopefully avoid, we are kind of the last ditch effort, but we need to make a push within the track. The service needs to be known to everybody out there, so that we are aware. So to go along with what you just said, the biggest thing is giving the deer time. We spend all year as a hunter thinking about deer season, practicing with our bow, shooting our gun, all the hours, all the time, setting up the tree, setting up the food plot, setting up the, whatever. And then we shoot the deer, we make a bad shot on the deer, and we want to go chase it 15 minutes after we shoot it. That's my biggest thing that I see that a hunter gets themselves into a bind with, is they may have a decent shot and they may not have needed a dog, but they get down way too soon and they start chasing that deer, and it may be all right. He may go in a straight line for a while and bed pretty consistently in one direction. And then once he makes a turn or stops bleeding as much, it's all downhill.
Yeah.
And that's when I usually get the call.
Because now they're just bumping them and bumping them and bumping them and bumping them.
Yeah. And every time he gets in a bed, you don't really know what way he's going to get out of that bed. When he's dead on his feet, going to wherever he's going to go, they usually go pretty straight. I've found in my experience. But once you start going and pumping them, and your buddies are there behind you, let's just go over this little hill. He's going to be dead right there. Look at all this blood, and he's not. That's where I've been in that position where it's like, got to go back to the house and just pace the floor forever and ever, because you're like, I got to get out there. I got to find him. He's dead. And it's this time is your friend.
Yeah. No, I give guys like you props for doing this. I mean, I wish this was around when I was, like, me and Squatch were young.
Yeah.
This wasn't really a thing, and I've lost deer because impatience or, there's a lot of blood. Get out, get my half hour, go. Oh, bumped him. Who knows where in the hell he went?
Yeah. My personal feeling on that is when people are getting down too early and they start pushing the deer, I think because they have that huge adrenaline dump and they just like, oh yeah, I shot a deer. What I generally try to do, unless I see that deer physically go down, then I'll start to set a timer on my phone, and I'll wait about roughly 20 minutes. Once that 20 minutes goes down, so I can kind of like decompress a little second, and then I start getting on the phone, texting my family members of like, oh, I shot a deer and this and that. Then once that 20 minute timer is up, then I start getting down, go up to the house, and we wait at least about another half hour to an hour, depending on the shot placement of how I thought the shot was. And I always run it through with my dad of the scenario that played out, and then we judge it based accordingly off of that.
Yeah. No, that's what you got to do. You got to go get a coffee, sit in the tree, just whatever you got to do, because, that's the game. You get down and they start chasing, and
they don't all react the same either of being shot.
No.
No.
And you never know too, just from, what I kind of told you guys about 50 deer recovered, but that's almost 150 tracks cumulative, or 100, roughly. Like, I've seen more blood trails than probably most guys will ever see in their life. It's a little different with a dog. You're not always seeing every little inch of blood just because they're moving through the woods so fast. But the scenarios are usually the same. A lot of blood in the beginning of the track to nothing. I get a lot of calls about, and that usually screams like some sort of muscle hit to me.
Yep.
Think about a paper cut. You'll bleed like a pig with it, and then it's done. You're skinning your deer. You slip, you cut your finger. You're like, oh my God, it's bleeding. And then 20 minutes later, it's like it didn't even happen. It's same thing when you're with these big broadheads we all have now, and these big cuts, and you're cutting a lot of muscle, and muscle bleeds. There's a lot of air in it. I go to a lot of calls where guys are like, oh, there's air, there's bubbles in the blood. Yeah. And they think that it's lung blood, and it's really just you hit the leg, or you hit the, that huge rump on a deer there's so much blood vessels and pumping through there.
Yeah.
No man's
So-
lands like that too.
Oh
yeah, the neck and the brisket
Yeah.
is
The brisket's the worst spot to hit. I mean, like
Yeah.
I've watched what I thought was a good hit go right through the brisket, and you get down, you're all excited, and there's not a drop of blood, and it's just all grease on that arrow.
Yeah. And that picture you guys posted of me that I sent in for my cover photo of this is a deer that I tracked out in western Kansas. And that deer was shot real low, almost brisket. It was like the white brown line. And that deer was the biggest deer I've ever seen in my life, coming from an eastern boy. But that deer was almost 190 inches, and I don't even know how much it weighed. It looked like a horse running through the woods. And that deer was alive 20 hours later, hit on that brown white line, almost right where you would think you want to hit, just low. And the hunter, we had to chase that deer a little bit, and the hunter had to take another shot on it and kill it. So that brisket is a dangerous place too to be playing games with.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it gives you a lot of false hope, you know.
Mm.
You see a lot of ton of blood, you think the deer's going to be dead, and I get out there, and a lot of guys will track, go a few hundred yards on that kind of blood, ton of blood to nothing. And those are a lot of the calls where I go to, and the dog kind of falls on its face, and it's like I may find a speck of blood 500 yards from last blood, and you're like, "Yep, you didn't hit where you thought you hit, buddy."
Yeah.
That's the generic story right there of some sort of muscle hit that didn't pan out.
Jeremy, I got
Go
question.
ahead, Brett.
Let me make my last question, and I'll shut up for the rest of the night. I know we're all happy. Jeremy, I don't, maybe I missed this, but is there any certain regulations or laws that when you want to start off becoming a dog tracker that you need to follow in order to start going out there out in the field?
So New York State has a license that we have to go and take a test and pass, and then you can legally track. Kind of in the old days, it was a lot of guys in our area, you became a Deer Search member, and then Deer Search helped you pass the test, and you kind of were in the club. In other parts of the state, in our country, there's not really that same sort of regulations. I know a few other states you need a license, but like I think out where you guys are, I don't believe there's any sort of license that at least I'm not aware of. I think you got some of the other states need to call in still like we do, but I don't know if they carry a license. I'm spoiled. I can dispatch 24/7. Some of my buddies in Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, they have to carry spears and do all this crazy.
That's crazy.
You know, like they can't track at night or they can track at night, but they can't dispatch. So like no one really tracks at night because, you know, what if you get caught with a live deer there? You know, so it's not a universal thing, but as of late, to answer your question, Brett, there is a lot of organizations now across the country where you can join. United Blood Trackers is a nationwide club that I'm a part of, which is a great resource. They have like a tracker near you service. The Tracker app is linked to them. I don't know if you guys have heard of the Tracker app yet. It's part of the United Blood Trackers. Shane Simpson, he's a pretty big YouTube personality. He and a few other guys started it. But UBT is a good start for anybody that wants to get into it. And then hopefully in your state, it's legal There's only a few states now that it's still illegal. And then find some sort of local club. There's pretty much every state has a club at this point.
All right, Jeremy, I got another quick question for you, and then we're going to probably move on to the rapid fire stuff after this. But why don't you reiterate on how you train your dog, like in the off season? How do you work your dog? What do you use? Like I think you were telling me you use a certain something special to make them get on the blood.
Yeah, so there's we use a tracking shoe, it's called. So over the year and from the butcher, I keep deer hooves. And we call it a scent picture in our terminology of trackers. Part of the scent picture is this interdigital gland. So, and that's where the deer kind of lets off adrenaline and stuff. And that's the dogs can pick up on that and the individuality of the deer itself. So, currently my dog now, we do a blood and chew line, and we let it sit for 24 hours or longer. And usually it's about 1,000 yards. We put in some turns, some other variables to it, and don't overdo it. We do it maybe twice, 2 or 3 times a month. And that's what kind of keeps us fresh, helps me read him. It's really, a lot of it is also too, like me being able to tell, hey, he cut a fresh track of something, got a little too distracted and wanted to chase something fresh versus what we're supposed to be working on. And I'm, hey, are you right? And usually if he pops up his head, he's like, oh, you caught me, Dad. And hopefully we're not too far away from the track at that point in real life, and that's what's important on the training is me being able to read and know where he's going and what his body language is when he's not doing the right thing.
Yeah. I used to run into that a lot with the beagles and how they would pick up scent. And I could tell, by the way they moved, by the way they barked and how they hunkered down, how fresh, the scent from that rabbit was there. And by their barks, one dog was just, okay, it's scent, I'm going to bark and bay. The other one, if it wasn't really fresh scent, she wouldn't bark. So I was like, okay, when the two of them get going, it's on.
You're on it. Yeah.
You're on it. I got a quick comment from Mike here. He's our 14-year-old understudy here at Whitetail Advantage. And Mike's favorite question to ask our guests is, have you ever eaten possum?
No, I haven't.
Would you like to try
some? I don't know. I've eaten some weird shit over the years, and I don't know. Possum just doesn't. I got plenty of venison in the freezer. I'll go for that.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, Michael is actually putting on a game dinner down in Long Island. We're going to show up at his house, and he's going to have about 50 possums. So,
okay.
Oh, man, for sure.
Yeah, we're going to have like a possum fest down there.
Well, he's got the flavors of the forest now. You don't have an excuse not to try it.
Yeah.
Oh, we got turkey slayers. What's up there, Jagger? How you doing, buddy? All right, let's move on to our rapid fire part of the show. We're going to ask you a bunch of rapid fire questions, and we'll see what you got. So the first one is, besides hunting, do you have any other hobbies or interests that you're into?
So we actually used to own a gun store in our little town here. So I consider myself a gun collector. So shooting is huge in my life also.
Yeah.
I've been a volunteer fireman for almost 16 years now.
Oh, nice.
And I guess too, I have a little 1.5-year-old girl now. So
oh man,
my other hobby, my new hobby in life is chasing that little monster around.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So that's, I guess, my two other
what's up,
big
Bitterroot?
things in my life. Yeah.
Thanks for watching, Bitterroot.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so the next one on the old rapid fire is what animal is on your bucket list to hunt?
My biggest probably dream someday is a leopard.
Oh,
man.
wow.
Ooh,
That's a new one.
That is a
Yeah.
new
That's a first.
that's an
That-
impressive
yeah.
one right there.
Yeah.
I also want to shoot someday the chamois in Europe, which are basically like their mountain goats.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
They have the little hook horn like a
Oh.
billy goat.
Yeah.
Brett thought you were
Um,
talking about the soaking up paper towel thing the guy
Yeah.
used to pull on the end.
Yeah. Or the ones he's
Oh,
got
yeah,
tied up in his
not-
garage.
not the ShamWow, the chamois.
It's chamois.
Yeah,
I got those in my garage. I got
Yeah.
chamois.
But yeah, a leopard with hound dogs is my life goal
Nice.
before I die.
You'd have to
so-
get a full body mount with that.
You would.
Oh yeah,
You would have to.
Yep.
That would be so freaking cool, though.
I've shot a lion or a mountain lion in Idaho
That'd be
so
cool.
far. So
Oh, dude, those pictures were awesome that you had on Instagram of that.
Yeah.
thing.
That's cool.
yeah,
Was that with hounds too?
yep, that was with hounds.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, so the next one we got for you, and it kind of goes along with what we were just talking about, is what animal do you want to try eating?
Well, I've actually I've ate the mountain lion,
Mm-hmm.
so I have a big check there for predator, eating a predator.
Okay.
We all bust balls, but I swear to God that mountain lion could, about Chinese restaurants, that cat really could have been a piece of ham in your pork fried rice.
I've been hearing a lot.
It tasted just like that. Those those red chunks that you get in your pork fried rice.
I've heard quite a bit on guys that have had mountain lion that it is like fantastic.
Yeah.
Surprisingly fantastic.
So,
It
Mike,
almost-
oh,
it
go
looks
ahead.
like pork. It looks like pork when
Okay.
you butcher it. It's like
Mike.
that whitish pink meat.
Okay.
Yeah, Mike from Boondocks Hunting there, they had a friend of theirs from Back Dam Productions make bobcat, and he said it was freaking awesome. He said the loins were so good out of that bobcat. He goes, it was unreal. You'd never think it would be good, but
Yeah.
oh boy, Michael's got another one. Has two wings and one arrow. Let's hear it, Mike.
Oh my God.
A Chinese cell phone.
Oh, wing arrow.
All right,
funny.
for our next one on the old rapid fire here, Jeremy, what has been your favorite state you've hunted?
State. I gone to Kansas almost 8 years. I haven't gone in the past 2 years, but man, I love Kansas
Okay.
for deer. If we're talking about whitetails,
Sure.
it's definitely a place, a magical place. I don't want to get too weird on that, but there's the shit that you see there versus what we're used to here in Eastern New York. It's
Oh, I'm sure here too. Yeah.
holy cow! Like
Yeah.
we did some decoying, basically reaping deer out there with the heads up decoys.
Yep.
Man, if I could do that every single day of my life, I would. Every single day of deer season, I'd be there.
Yeah.
I've been where I could almost pet them if you're on the right time of the year with decoying them.
Yeah.
Nothing like that. My heart rate doesn't go up any higher than that.
That's cool.
So I think on my Instagram, there's one deer that me and my buddy stalked
Mm-hmm.
that way, and he shot. And we were rolling around, hugging, just jumping in the air like crazy when we saw that deer fall. It was the first time we ever did something like that. Like New York State just does not give you that opportunity. So
No. So this next question I'm going to ask you, it kind of rolls in place with the last one, but what is the top? I mean, like the tippy top state you really want to hunt?
Well, I think after this year, I'll have 6 preference points for Iowa.
Damn.
So
Man.
Okay.
So
You got 4 on me. bastard.
So Iowa, I think Iowa should be on my 2026 list. So if we're talking deer, that's
Yep.
number one. My other big bucket list for American animal is a blacktail. I don't know why.
Right,
But,
right.
Oh man, I've seen so
But
many of them a couple weeks ago when I was out in Oregon. They're
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But so
Those are hard
you
to
could
hunt.
consider.
All right. Michael says,
Correct.
technically, if somebody identifies as a deer or something, can you shoot it? Well, I don't know if that would be a good idea because
Yeah.
you'd have a lot of
Yeah.
splaining to do, Lucy.
Yeah.
You'd have lots of splaining to do. So
yeah,
our
you're gonna have
next,
to explain that to Michael Squatch because
Yeah.
he's way too young for that show.
yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm trying to hit the older crowd here, but so the next one we have in line for you, Mike, or Mike, Jeremy. If you could pick anybody, family or non-family, to go on a hunting trip or share a campfire with one time, who would that person be?
I don't know. I've met a lot of cool people. I've traveled a lot all over the place. I don't know. Some of these I've made some new friends from this German hunting club and these judges.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to go hunt with them. I haven't hunted in Germany yet. They do a lot of wild boar hunting there.
Yeah.
So that's on my one big, and the guy actually too that has helped me get my dogs in Slovakia.
Okay.
We've been talking about going. Unfortunately, this Ukrainian war has kind of Slovakia is right there.
Yeah.
Kind of put a halt when we did have plans. So either those German guys or my Slovakian buddy are my top list right now.
Have you seen those red stag
Yeah,
call
red stags.
They look,
yeah.
don't get me wrong, it looks fun, but it looks epic gay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not going to demonstrate it.
Do it. Come on.
Please do it.
Come on.
No.
Do it. Do
I'm
it.
not gonna
Red stag
Do it.
from a redhead.
Do
It just
Come on, Brett.
Show us
Come
that
on,
ginger
Brett.
stag call.
Come on, Brett. Sounds like us, Stuart.
Come
Do
on,
it,
Brett.
Stuart. Do it,
Like
one,
next-
Stuart. You can do it,
Jeremy,
Stuart.
join us.
Yeah.
Jeremy, we call him Stuart Boven because there was Mad TV years ago, and there was a guy on there, freckle faces. He was supposed to be a little kid, but he was a grown ass man, sort of like Brett. And his name was Stuart. And he used to get in all these little qualms with his mother, and she'd be like, "Stuart, stop it!"
Yeah.
And he's like, "I don't want to." And he
Yeah.
he's like a
Yeah.
little brat.
Stop.
Yeah, it was great.
Stop.
So Brett reminds us of Stuart sometimes. So that's what.
Man up, he said. Michael, he's our personal Brett Ballbuster.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
actually
here's-
have one of those stag calls from one of my trips to Europe
Oh, do you?
in my basement, but I don't know if you want me to grab it and give it a
I'd
rip.
like to hunt one of them though someday. Those things are amazing looking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
And
Crazy.
you
For
can
anybody-
demonstrate what they are.
for anybody that's listening, me personally, I've always been like kind of the on the budget hunting trip guy.
Yeah.
These elk hunts in America are crazy money these
Oh
days.
hell.
You can go to Europe and have a crazy time during the red stag roar for I could sometimes even quarter of the money.
Yeah.
Even when with the flight and all, me and my buddies were like fresh out of high school going to Europe for $3,000 and shooting
Oh man.
fucking red stags like you couldn't believe.
Yeah.
So,
Now you can't bring them back, can you?
you can.
You just
So,
got to go through
I don't-
customs and all the.
Yeah. But there's for like the horns, you could bring without like an importer and everything, like Africa stuff. You have to. do,
Okay.
but in Europe, no meat. You can't
Yeah.
bring meat, but you can bring
Yeah,
antlers.
eat everything over there.
Yeah. Well, what's cool too, which I hope happens in the States someday, is a lot of the meat gets sold there. So that's also one of the reasons why things are a little cheaper is you actually bring your game to a buyer after it's skinned and everything,
Oh,
or they
wow.
come and pick it up. So you actually get money for your meat, right?
See,
You know, so
the closest we have here is a local. Whoa, what happened?
I don't know.
There we go.
Hey,
Hey,
we're back.
hey,
the
I'm
closest
back.
thing we have here is a nonprofit that's been on the show and that we work with called Doe Patrol. So what
Yep.
they do is they'll go out and hunt doe, well, bucks too, but mostly doe, and then they take all the meat, process it, grind it up into burger, and then donate it to local West Michigan food banks.
Yeah, great
Yeah.
cause.
So
Yeah,
huge shout out. I don't know if they're watching tonight. They better.
They're
Damn, you better
probably
be
not.
watching.
But no, I mean, that's actually pretty cool that they actually buy the meat right off you.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Many people try to make the most of their weekends, but some settle for much less. That brings us to this story. As Baltic hunting enthusiasts battle to be named a champion deer caller, 23 people took part in the 7th annual contest in Latvia. They were judged on their ability to imitate various kinds of red stag calls. Believe it or not, the winner will get to perform again on an even bigger stage at next year's European Championship in Poland.
Jeez. I think I seen Brett do that at the Blue Oyster.
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
and this is
those
why
guys really get into it.
this is why Dave and I are cousins, even though we're not sure yet. But I was gonna say I've gone into an Arby's and heard that come from a bathroom when Brett went in there.
Yeah.
there's got a hole cut out of the bathroom stall that says Red's dad call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a good time, call.
Yeah.
Brett's
All right.
dad.
All right, Jeremy, for our last rapid fire question for you for tonight, we like to ask, what do you think as fellow hunters could or should do to improve the hunting community?
I see one of my pet peeves right now. I see a little bit too, little bit in the dog world is if you're part of some sort of organization, I think stick it out. Don't try to go start your own thing. Stay with the bigger. Look at the bigger picture. We're stronger together. Don't beat up anybody who's, your ideas might not align, but we're all hunters, we're all fishermen, we're all trappers, we're all outdoor enthusiasts. We all want the land. We want to use it for some sort of purpose. So if we butt heads, it's just going to go in the wrong direction. That's my
Well, it's a good outlook
big
on
thing.
things.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Absolutely.
It burns my ass when I go on Facebook and I see something about a trapper or a guy with hound dogs, and it's like we're all trying to do the same thing, man. If you're on this hunting club page because you're obviously some sort of sportsman as well.
Yeah.
And it just kind of kills me to see someone bust a guy that's enjoying that outdoors just like you do at some point as well. So keep an open mind.
Yeah,
we're all friends here and fighting for the same cause.
Yes.
absolutely.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
You got enough enemies.
Yep. Anybody got anything else they want to ask Jeremy?
Yeah, Brett, you have any questions?
No.
No, I don't think so.
Stop it! Stop it!
I'm not in charge tonight.
My throat hurts.
All
I'm not
right.
in charge tonight.
Jeremy,
I would like to thank Jeremy again for coming on. I got big props for people who are tracking and getting into this, and probably saving a lot of suffering animals, I guess you would say.
recovering a lot of
animals that otherwise there's a good chance probably aren't getting recovered, and they're just going to waste.
So, Jeremy, why don't you give everybody a little information where we can find you, how we get in touch with your organization if we need you, and where you can be found on social media.
So the biggest thing for reputable trackers that I'm a part of, at least, and there's some other organizations out there, but nationally, like I mentioned before, the United Blood Trackers, they have a really good website with a Find Your Tracker link. and you could type in your zip code, and a lot of the members are on there listed, and with phone numbers, and you can call. I'm kind of younger guy. I'm pushing a lot of people towards the Tracker app, TRAKR. It's part of the United Blood Trackers. Those guys are working really hard with it. I believe it's available on both types of phones, the Apple and the Droid. And you can see a lot of the Midwest guys are starting to use it. I'm also for New York State deer search. You can find me locally if anybody's locally listening. And then my Instagram handle, which I need to make a name for, but I'm Rugerman19 on there. Jeremy DiCesare on Facebook. I'm going by Coupe de Gras, which is like the final blow, is my little tracking business name.
Okay.
So I'll be making a page here soon for the Coupe de Gras and kind of focusing all my stuff on there. But that's where I'm at. Or find me in the woods. Leave a message, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Yeah, exactly, man. And you did.
September through December. Leave a message, and I'll get back to you.
Sure. So I'm sure all the rates and everything that you guys, because I don't know if this is like everybody pretty much charges the same if you're part of an organization, or does anybody can kind of charge what they want?
So in my state, I got my guide's license, so I do charge a fee.
Yep.
A lot of the other guys are on a donation. That's when you pass your New York State tracking license, you're only able to collect tips and donations. So, I do charge $150 fee to come out with my guide license. And, I did it for quite a few years and I'm just going to use an example. I would go to somebody like Adams, wouldn't find his deer, and get a pat on the back and say, "Thanks for coming out, buddy." And you can't really say nothing. I just drove 2 hours, spent 3 hours with you in the woods, and, it's not about the money, but, these days when gas is $4 a gallon and I'm, feeding an 18-month-old
Well, you have a right
girl
to make money on a business just like everybody else. And anybody that thinks that it's a service is free, they probably shouldn't call.
Yeah. So, I mean, Deer Search was based on a volunteer originally. A lot of people are starting to branch off of that and charging a fee because life is just crazy. The world's crazy. So, if a guy comes to me and says, I don't have a penny a pot to piss in.
What kind of guns do you own?
Yeah,
exactly, right?
I do it for the passion of it, and I think most guys across the country do it for we all want to be out there following our dogs. So, but I would say the baseline, I would say most guys are happy with $100 to $150. That's a big question I see a lot on social media too, is how much do I pay these guys that are coming out? You just got to think how much
how much is that 200-inch buck worth to you?
Exactly.
Yes. I mean, some of those guys that are tracking on these big Texas ranches for giant 200-inch bucks they're charging big money to come. That's one of my things with the drones too, is sometimes I get a little gripe for my $150 fee, and these drone organizations are $300 base and an extra $100 if you find it. So,
man,
that's another consideration for drones. It's a $15,000 piece of equipment you're putting up in the air. So most, someone's got to pay for it. Yeah,
I'm a dog guy anyway.
Yep.
I would rather have dogs tracking my deer than a drone, personally.
All right. Well, how about you, Johnny? Where can we find your information on how to find you on social media or Gay Bar or I don't know, something else maybe?
Yeah, I mean, when I'm not bouncing at the Blue Oyster, keeping Brett out of there.
Brett's Uber.
Yeah, Brett's Uber. I'm going to go ahead and not pitch my stuff, but go follow Jeremy, man, at, on Instagram at Rugerman19. I mean, go do that.
Yep.
Don't worry about this Yahoo. Go follow that dude. He actually works for a living.
Yeah. Another working man in the house there. How about you, Mr. PSE Mobile Hunter? Where can we find this
the fellow trade guy? There's only two of us that do the trades here, so we're the
only ones that have calluses in our hands. So
well, Jeremy does because he's an electrician. So.
Yes, he does too.
Yeah. So of course I'm on here twice a week, and of course that'll change once hunting season comes. But I'm on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook under PSE Mobile Hunter.
Sweet. And Mr. Bovin, we'd like to hear your information.
Where are you at, Brett?
Well, you can find me at the local gay bar.
Yeah. I'm on Nickelodeon twice a week.
They just use my face as a likeness of the logo.
Tuesdays I'm on Disney Channel.
Some days
And
I'm
what
on the
about you,
Cartoon Network.
Squatch? Where can they find you?
You can find me.
We gotta let Brett talk.
We gotta let Brett talk.
He was.
Let Brett talk.
Love our listeners.
Come on, Mr. Bovin.
You can just find us at Whitetail Advantage.
Okay.
Website, www.whitetail.advantage.com. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Find us all right there.
And don't forget to check out my grinder. You got it, Brett. We'll check you out there.
Yeah.
Yes, the red-headed Yoder slinger.
And as you guys all know, you can find me, the Squatch, here with these knuckleheads on Sundays and Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. I'll be ranting and raving, giving my freaking shakedown to everything. You can also find me on my YouTube channel, Outdoors and More with the Squatch. You can find me on Instagram, same title, Outdoors and More with the Squatch. And I guess tonight, yours truly is going to close out the show. So, Jeremy, I'd like to thank you for coming on, and we're going to close this. All right, everybody. Well, we want to let you know that we're going to conclude this episode. We want to say thank you to everyone for gathering around the electric campfire with us today. Now, if this show made you laugh, made you think, gave you a new perspective, please hit that like and subscribe button. We greatly appreciate it. If you're listening to the audio version, give us a 5-star rating, everyone. Here would greatly appreciate the support. Please take a second and head over to Carbon TV and give Whitetail Advantage a positive score. The audio version of our podcast is released on Mondays and Wednesdays at 5 a.m. Eastern Time. If you want to be a guest on our live show, or if you want anyone from Whitetail Advantage to be a guest on your podcast, head over to the website and submit your request. Thank you to all the companies that have partnered with Whitetail Advantage. And don't forget, put that quarter in the slot machine, and have a great day, everyone. And we'll see you all the next time. And as always, God bless you. Shoot straight. The Squatch is out for Whitetail Advantage tonight. Have a good night, y'all.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Whitetail Advantage Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you next time.